Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs Show. Happy Monday morning to you all. Hope you're all right. I hope you're all okay. Looking forward to a good week ahead. Obviously, Spurs playing Wednesday night versus Manchester United in the Europa League final. So we talk about the game. We're going to be talking about, obviously, I guess there'll be some injury updates really coming out in the next day or two. Especially, obviously, Man United got a few players who are sort of here or thereabouts, if you know what I mean, in terms of returning, like Dalot and De Ligt. Yoro, apparently Xerxes. I didn't think he was going to be back, but there was rumours that he might. Obviously, we'll be talking about Spurs as a whole. And obviously, Spurs have got some very, very interesting decisions to make going ahead into the final with really some uncertainty surrounding some starting positions. I also have looked at the goals that Manchester United have conceded this season across all competitions, sort of giving me a bit of an idea as to what they struggle with most, where you can get them best. And it's quite interesting, really. I spent over an hour watching Man United highlights to get myself an idea. So didn't think I'd do that on a Monday morning. But let's jump in and talk about the Europa League final. A final that I think, look, it's been so well reported. It's between two teams that have struggled this season. I don't need to tell you that as groundbreaking news. I don't need to tell you that the winner of this would get automatic qualification into the Champions League, obviously, as well as winning the trophy. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you that both teams haven't been great in the Premier League this season. None of that I need to tell you. You all know that. It's boring. It's a boring rhetoric that has now been repeated. I'm moving on to the more positive side of this final. And it's an opportunity for players who, especially for Spurs, haven't won trophies or are still young and developing. And, if you can go into maybe what you might deem as your first final or one of your first finals as a young player, to win that could be a launch pad to winning many more. Losing it could be the launch pad to what Spurs have been going through for nearly 2 decades. And I've seen some players saying this is the biggest game of their career and things like that. And I get why they think that. I do. I get why we would think that as fans. Obviously, I would say it's probably not the biggest game. Obviously, we've been in the Champions League final, half a decade ago. So they'd say that still is the biggest game we've played in. But this is a game where we could win this, right? We should be looking at this as a game that we should win. In terms of not because we're some amazing team and they're rubbish, not because of that whatsoever. It's because even with a manager change this season, Spurs have played Man United 3 times and beaten them all 3 times. Okay, and that will factor into some of the data that I go through in a second. But also, as us as people, if you cannot get up for this game and get pumped and get excited, I don't know if you actually like football. It's a cup final. Any cup final, I'm always up for. It doesn't matter if it was the Carabao Cup or a Champions League or anything in between. I'd be up for them all. The opportunity to win silverware, I think we too much as probably both fan bases, not everyone, but obviously quite a large part of both fan bases are glossing over the fact that you're winning a trophy. You're winning a European trophy. And all they're thinking about is we get Champions League football next season. And look, it's one of the benefits to winning this trophy. But first and foremost, you've won a European trophy. That doesn't come around all that often. I mean, you think about the amount of money that Real Madrid spent between winning their 9th Champions League and their 10th Champions League. And this is, the greatest Champions League side ever. How much they spent and how long it was between them. You think about teams from the 70s and 80s that have won European trophies and not anything since. For Spurs, obviously, we last won it in the mid-1980s. And look where we are now. We're in the mid-2020s and we still haven't won a European trophy since then. So this is a great opportunity to fix a lot of things. And also, like I said, it's a launch pad for potential future success. That's the way I look at it. And I'm super excited for this game. Anything can happen in a final, I think, as well. How I always talk about how derby games is, are you up for it? Form sometimes feels irrelevant going into those sort of games. I think with cups even, you can win a cup competition not playing well. You can't win a Premier League not playing well. There's too much going on too frequently that if you didn't play well, you're not going to win it. But in a cup, you can absolutely win it. Absolutely. We think of Chelsea's Champions League run. They weren't good against any of those teams in terms of their style of play, but they're effective when they needed to be. We think about even this season, Spurs not great in the Premier League. Yes, there's mitigating factors that go into such a thing, thinking about injuries and suspensions and fatigue. But also, you think about Europe, especially since the AZ Alkmaar second leg. And some people like to gloss over this because I think as well, obviously, it doesn't blend into agendas. Our Spurs are so bad defensively. Okay, well, I've disproved that really this season alone across all competitions when the back four play together and start together is what I'm saying. Our Spurs are no good. Well, when the games have meant even more and gotten more intense, we have shown up and delivered. You think about AZ, we're 1-0 down getting to second leg, win 3-1. And we're 2-0 up. We were 2-0 up, obviously, when Mickey Van der Ven was still on the pitch. He gets substituted. It's a stupid goal that we gave away. You think about the ties against now qualified for the Champions League Frankfurt. We draw 1-1 at home. We then go to Frankfurt, which is a difficult place to play. I think, people look too much about this team, they're really good in Spain, and this team, they're really good in Italy. I mean, Frankfurt are a top 3 side in Germany or top 4 side in Germany. Germany's a good league. Champions League qualified. We go there, we keep a clean sheet and win 1-0. Bodo Glimt, everyone had made it out. Bodo Glimt, what a difficult team. We're going to struggle with them. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We, barring a 20-second period in the first leg, played a near perfect game. And in the second leg, we probably did play a bit of a perfect game where we kept a clean sheet away from home and won 2-0. So, for whilst, there's a sneeze sitting right here that just won't come out. Hence why if you think my eyes look a bit weird, it's because I'm thinking, do I need to sneeze or not? All right, so don't worry. It's not hay fever. It's just a sneeze that's waiting to come out. But when, like I said, those 5 games, you think about, we can see 1 against AZ, but none whilst the main 2 centre backs were playing. We can see 1 against 2 games in the Frankfurt legs, and then 1 against Bodo Glimt. So we can see 3 goals in those 5 games, but we can see 2 goals with the main 2 centre backs on the pitch. Hence why I go into this game with a bit of confidence. I go into this game with the idea that we can defend. Like, I get why people think we can't because look at the Prem performances, and for the factual information they give me, I then lay down the context as to probably why you're seeing that when you've got Sergio Reguilon playing left back last weekend. You've got Ben Davies at centre back with Kevin Danso, who joined halfway through the season. Archie Gray's playing at full back or centre back through this season. You've obviously lost Radu Dragic, another centre back. So there's a lot of things that go into that. I'm just looking at the last 5 games of the Europa League, and I also kind of look at this game as just compare the Europa League form. Like, Man United have had some good Europa League form recently. It's just sitting there. It's not coming. The 3-0, all right, against Bilbao, away at Bilbao, great result. Yes, I get the red card makes a difference, but it's a great result. Them beating them 4-1 at home in the second leg, it's another great result. You think about the Lyon game. Okay, they concede 4, but obviously, there's a penalty in there. I get the Lyon one's a bit of an odd one. I get that, but they still go to Lyon and get a solid result away from home to start off the legs. It's a 2-2 draw. Who do they play? Who do they play the round before? There you go. I was waiting for that. I feel so much better now. I can't remember who they played the round before that, but you get the idea. Like, they obviously... Whoa, there we go. Sociedad. There you go. Thank you, Boris. By the way, good morning to you all. I haven't skipped over your comments. Oh, my God. Oh, you thought I'd have hay fever. It's not. It's just I've knocked my nose, and evidently I've touched all the nerves. But anyway, regardless of that, thank you, Joe, by the way. Thank you. But, looking at that, they are solid in the Europa League. Like, we're solid as well. Ooh. Which, do you know what I mean? Just sneezes do my head in. They do my head in. But look, actually, just want to bring in their injury news because there was a few updates. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, Dallo. Yeah, there's no real updates as of yet. I've just got a feeling that Dallo and Yoro will make it back, but I think Delict might miss out, or Delict might be on the bench. That's the thinking I'm going to have here on the returns. Xerxes is a weird one. Xerxes, just having a look. Sorry. Yeah, I might actually Delict by the sounds of things might make the final. Oh my god. No, look, Stone. No, it's the sneezes. Oh my god. Oh, excuse me. But look, I'm taking a mic now. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's not hay fever. It's just I'm knocked my nose. Yeah, I will have to do it after Boris. Take an antihistamine. I don't look well. It's honestly, it's just a sneeze. My eyes go really watery. Don't worry. I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm getting them all out of the way before Wednesday. Anyway, moving on though. Moving on. So I looked at a lot of data surrounding Manchester United's goals conceded this season, right? So this season they've played, I think, 58 games. Now, this is obviously including Ten Hag and Van Nistelrooy, who was in charge for 4 games before Amram obviously took over, because Amram took over at the start of the November international break, right? Across this season, like I said, the 58 games, they have had 13 clean sheets this season. 5 for Ten Hag in his 14, 2 for Ruud van Nistelrooy in his 4. That's pretty solid. And then 6 for Amram in his 40. Not great, if I'm honest. Not great. Ten Hag conceded 70. Well, I say Ten Hag, but under Ten Hag reign, they conceded 17 in their 14. Ruud, they conceded 3 in their 4. And Amram, they conceded 62 in their 40, which obviously that's a lot. It's a lot, especially if you take away the 6 games they kept clean sheets. It's in 34 games against 62 goals. I mean, for the most part, they've been actually I think they've conceded like some of the most from corners, but I think they also factor in like second phases and things like that. But outside of the box shots, they conceded 7 under Amram. They've conceded back post crosses. I sort of labelled it down as 10, but it could have been a couple more depending on how you view them. But I put down 10 of their 62. So 20%. What I'm on about. Less than that. It's about 17, 18% of the goals they conceded this season on Amram having back post crosses. I sort of labelled these all together, which is played through ball, won the ball high up, and passes across the box. They've conceded 14 of those this season as well. So if you add that with the back post crosses, that's like 40%, somewhere around there. 40% of back post crosses or basically mistakes or balls just being slid into, they're called sweaty goals on FIFA. But basically, you just slide it across the free man in the box. No one's around him. He just taps it in. So there's that. I mean, if you want to factor in, the outside of the box strikes, then half of the goals come from just those sort of 3. So look, there's a lot in there that we can sort of hold on to. And, when I talked about the struggles that they've had this season defensively and the things that they struggle most with are the things that Spurs do really, really well. And it's not to say that Spurs are going to score, 6 goals. If you ask Steve, we will. But, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the volume of chances that we create are the chances that they struggle with most. Back post crosses, flashes across the 6-yard box, cutbacks, those sort of things that Spurs are very much based around when it comes to their attacks. That's what they struggle with. So they're sort of that. But yeah, also keepers making mistakes like fumbling the ball, parries, all those things that go straight into attackers' feet or oncoming runners in the box feet. They struggle with that immensely. So that all those things I'm saying that Spurs do have a chance with. Obviously, I have a look at all the goals that Spurs conceded this season. I didn't have that much time. I just had a look at that sort of time. You know, I've got to touch some grass at some point. So, you know, that's why I've not looked at us. But obviously, we all sort of know the sort of goals that we concede anyway. But obviously, Spurs have question marks in regards to that midfield. Now, there is chatter. Okay, there is chatter that Bergvall has been on grass and has been doing some work. Now, I expect today to be their last training day. I believe they fly out this afternoon. What I'm talking about, Spurs, by the way. It's probably the last chance you're going to get a real feel for how players are going to be feeling going into that game. Obviously, they played Friday, so they would have had, you know, treatment Saturday, maybe a bit of Sunday, but they would have been training today. They are training today. So we'll see about Bergvall and how he has been. But he also took part of the Europa League media picture taking. So that's also that, like you factor that in. You know, the other injured players didn't do that. So that's why you've got to say, is there a chance? And I'm not saying like he's going to start. I'm just saying there's a chance. And I think really right now, even if he does make the squad, I don't expect him to start. So that's why I'm saying Spurs would like have question marks in that midfield. If he was fit and ready to go, he would be deemed the 10, more so like an 8 to 10 with Basuma and Bentancur. And I think we'd all probably agree that's the starting 11. You know, people obviously might go with Tell or Richie at left wing if they want, but I think it's going to be Son. The team would actually, ironically, easily enough pick itself. But obviously, that not being true, it's like you factor in like Odebear, you know, obviously Sarr would have been an option. I think we'll hear a little bit about Sarr, I assume today. I don't really know the injury update on him at the moment. I've not really been on Twitter all weekend, so I actually haven't looked about it. Yeah, no, I don't see anything about it right now. But don't touch any grass. No, honestly, I knocked my nose and it just woke up all the idea that I need to sneeze. Don't worry, it's not hay fever. I don't have hay fever. It's not that. You're all good. Yeah, I know, Jazz. But what I'm saying is like it gives you that thought that he could be. Adiz, mate, don't be talking about manager. Don't be talking about managers. This is not the time or place to start talking about managers. It's not time or place to talk about Spurs signing this person or Spurs selling that person. Just give it 6 more days, bud. All right. Just give it 6 more days. And then we can all talk about it, you know, on Monday in a week's time, actually. Let's do a week's time because we play Sunday. Give it a week. We'll all talk about it on Monday next week. All right. Because that's going to be the time to talk about reviewing the season. You know, obviously we'll know by then about the Europa League as well as things like that. So that's what I mean. We'll wait till we get there. All right. But I still think Spurs are going to win, right? I think Spurs are going to win this final. I said all along, I haven't actually changed my prediction. I think Spurs are going to win. I think Spurs are going to win 2-1. I think Jono's going to score. Jono at the back post, tap in. Left or right, I don't really care, but it's going to be a tap in. Who's my other one? I think Solanke. Solanke scores a lot of goals against Manchester United. So I think Solanke. I'll go 2-1. I think Spurs will go 1-0 up, 1-0, 2-1. That's the kind of vibe that I'm going for. Obviously, let me know your scoreline predictions and who you think is going to score goals as well. But I think 2-1 Spurs with Johnson, I think, opening the scoreline. Man United. Bruno. I'll say Bruno. I think he'll equalise a long shot. I don't know, something about a long shot from Bruno. And then, Solanke, some form of cutback tap in sort of thing. But also, like, with Man United as well, obviously, a lot of their success is down to what kind of Bruno turns up. If Bruno's going to turn up and have an absolute almighty stinker, you're going to have a damn good chance of winning. Now, if he turns up and he's going to play, a Bruno-esque level performance, you are going to be in trouble. Now, it doesn't mean you can win. You'd lose guarantee or win guarantee. I'm not saying that was several. Other players could have an almighty game. If Bruno's the only one that has a good game, then you've got a great chance still. So, Diallo, I expect him to start. Obviously, I think him and Bruno have probably been their best players this season. Obviously, I know Højlund will probably start. I don't think Xerxes will be back. So, I think Højlund's going to start. What are we thinking? Here we go. Got a few. Yeah, apologies for the sneeze, everyone. It's just sneezing. All right. That's why my eyes are a little bit bloodshot. All right. You can hear a bit of a blocked nose. It's probably a bit of flu, to be fair. 2-1. Johnson, Solanke, Bruno for United. So Sonia agrees with me. I think it's either Bentancur or Bissouma will score and Sonny for a 2-1. 3-1 Boris reckons. Solanke with a pen. Bruno Worldy. Johnson tap it. And a Porro free kick goal. Surprised that Bergvall will bully the Man United centre-backs at early retirement in 12-0 drubbing from Steve. That sounds about right. United scored in the 80th minute. We'll have to know it's 10 minutes. Hold on for the win. Well, look, for them this season, here's another little bit of information that I have to hand. Again, I was on the cardio, just doing my thing, and I worked out the areas where and I'll include Spurs in this as well. So you get a bit of an idea when Spurs and Man United are to concede. So between the minutes of 1 and 45, so let's call it the first half regular time, Spurs have conceded 31 goals in the this is the Premier League, I believe, this season. Yeah, Premier League. Man United conceded 22. So we're more likely to concede the first half than they are, obviously, massively. Now, when you look at the second half, it's level pretty much. We're 28 and they're 27. So you're more likely to get them in the second half than you're more likely to get us in the first half, if you get the idea. Now, in terms of extra time in the first half, it's 2-2 each. So 45 minutes onwards in the extra time of the first half, we're 2-2 in terms of conceding. But the interesting thing, in 90-plus minutes, so added on time in the second half, Spurs have not conceded in the Premier League this season. Man United have conceded 3 times. So, again, I guess with them, it's you have the opportunity to right. Is this working? I think this is work. I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. Apologies for that. Oh, I know. What an absolute nightmare. Apologies. What I was saying was, when I was doing all those stats and looking at all those stats surrounding how you can get at Manchester United with the crosses, with cutbacks. The other one is keeper mistakes. That's another one that I want to talk about is with Bayindir or with Anana. Shooting from distance does work. It does work. And I also think, when we think about that is, well, who would do that for Spurs? Obviously, it's not really the thing that we get for Solanke and Jono. Sonny cutting in maybe, but Porro. It's Porro, isn't it? Porro is the guy that, if you're going to get, if you're going to get, obviously, the fumbles and things like that, it would be Pedro Porro. So, I expect Anana to start for them. Look, I mean, I think their starting 11 might be quite easy to work out. I think Anana's starting goal. I'd expect Dorgu to start at left wing back. I'd expect would Mazraoui start at right wing back if Dalot can't go? If so, if he did,
Your back three, I would expect Yoro, who should be back, Maguire, and he'll either go Shaw or Lindelof, I think, with that as a back three. So there's sort of that. The midfield too, I think Agate and Casemiro, I think they'll try and be compact in the midfield. Obviously, the two wing backs being the wing backs. And then the front three, I think Diallo, Fernandez, and Højlund is probably the three that I am going to go for. When you start Bruno Fernandez, absolutely. Did I top the meter? Shut up, Jazz. I don't really know if he's going to be about yet. So I'm just sort of waiting for Ange Presser. I'll have a quick look, actually, if I can see anything really quickly. Not really yet, no. We'll probably know more today about Sarr. A full score decent amount of any one of their three keepers. Yeah, I think they need to. They need to this summer. Man United, in terms of the transfer market. Obviously, I know they look like they're going to be getting Mateus Cunha. He would be a keeper. We need to move on from Onana. By India, I don't know if it's a good enough second goalie. I think they need to look at a goalkeeper personally. Obviously, they're looking at Milinkovic Savic, weren't they? So maybe that's the move. Laughing now, I predict Richie to be the game changer and winner. Just saying, well, fair enough, Milton. We love it. Francis has given me his starting 11. He's gone for Vic. He's got Vic, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Destiny, Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, or Richarlison, Johnson, Solanke, and Son. I don't know if Richie would start. I think Odegaard might be. I think Odegaard's going to be the player in the midfield. I think Odegaard's going to be a player in the midfield, personally. I think, what we saw against Villa in a heavily rotated team, in a team where you might not even see most of those players at all. He looked good. We created a couple of chances through him. He scored himself with a flick. So I think Odegaard. I also think, when you sort of think about this season, some of the success we've had, Madison on an overlap to Sonny. Well, if you're doing that, you just go into another winger, and that could really be a changer. The amount of times that Son might look to cut in with the overlap of, Odegaard, you could slide that ball back into an overlapping Odegaard who is a winger. Obviously, if he was to go out to the right, again, he can play right wing as well. So I think, you can get a bit more flexible at times with that. So that's kind of my thinking. Only 5 Prem or First Division winners of the Europa since we won in '84. This week will be the 6th Prem winner. There you go. Not done very well with the English teams. Heard you not had to go for Martinez. I think Saudi will be the play. I just think Saudi's going to be the move. Adiz's got to go for Vic, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and a doggy. Bentancur, Basuma, Odegaard, Son, Solanke, Johnson. Yeah, I think Ediz, I probably agree with you. I think Son being back, and I also think actually when you look at Sonny against Aston Villa with how direct he was, how pacey he looked with the ball, I think he's probably shown enough that he can play. He's played enough minutes as well. I think he's shown enough. The beautiful thing is you can bring on a Tell, you can bring on a Richarlison. You've got options there, off the bench that you can change the attack if necessary. I mean, the thing as well, like when we talk about Bergvall. If Bergvall can play, right? I'm not saying he can or can't. It's not guaranteed. If he can play some minutes, I'm not saying 90, just some, 15, 20, then you go Odegaard. If it doesn't work out the way you'd want it to and you need to make a substitution, then you have that option. Yeah. And it's meant to be my birthday. It's 8th of May, which was the second leg of Bodo, and I was born 1984, last time on the Europa League. Bloody hell. That's impressive. DJ's gone for, I think the game sounds like a 2-line scoreline to Spurs. Man United don't score many goals, but I do see you lifting a tasty glass of beer, smile, and having double fireworks after the game. I will be I will be sinking multiple Guinnesses, no doubt. No doubt. The midfield battle is key. Yeah, the midfield battle will be key. They are going to be looking to get us on the ball more, right? So follow me on this trajectory. I think Man United are going to be looking to get us on the ball a bit more, getting Bruno into pockets of space and countering through Bruno. So, looking for a Dorgu, or if it's Dallo or Mazraoui as the wing backs, looking for them, Diallo, getting Diallo out in space and seeing if you get him onto one of your centre backs instead of, Destiny, for example. They'll be looking to do that. Now, if you can keep Bruno quiet, that's half the battle, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to keep him as quiet as you want him to. He is a very, very good player. He tries things that, like De Bruyne as well. Like, these two guys are two guys that will do volume things. There'll be things where you'll go, oh God, that's awful. What is he doing that for? And there's things that you go, that's magical. And that's my thinking with Bruno. Like, he will try things and it won't work and they'll look silly at times, but then they'll try the odd one or two that are incredible. And that's where you have to kind of be aware. He's going to try things. It's not always going to work, but when it does work, it really works. So that's what I think. That's my thinking. Draw the son on the bench. I don't want to play 90 and I want the captain of the field as time expires as we are celebrating. Well, we'll see. We'll see. As long as Basura and Bentancur can lock Bruno Ahmad out, I think, and if they get Højlund through, Romero Mickey will lock him out. Look, I don't know if you're truly ever going to be able to slow down a Bruno. Bruno always is. He's the kind of playmaker that will float into spaces where he thinks the game is going. He won't lock himself to a position. It's different. It's different the weekend when he was playing centre mid. Like that's kind of where he has to be. That's his position. But when he's a bit further forward, just behind the striker, he will float. He'll go left wing. He'll play central. He'll go out to the right. Wherever is needed. And the game, if it's going that way, he will go out with that. He'll go out to the game where it is. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to be just sort of got to be aware that Bruno will float, and you might have two number sixes who, hey, are pretty good with those two guys behind the strikers. But what happens when Diallo's gone to the right wing, Bruno's gone out to the right position where Diallo's just vacated, and you've not got the two number eights out there with him. And that's why I was thinking, will they go Sarr to make sure that defensively you've got three guys back there you might be switched on? Obviously, Sarr being injured, that's changed. I actually expected Sarr to start, but I don't know if Sarr's going to be fit enough. Even if, I don't know how his knock's going to be. I don't know if he's injured or out of the game, but I think that's where Odegaard will step in, because I think in theory, of all the options you have left, he's probably the only one who's a natural midfielder in a way. Like, other than the youngsters, he's the only one left. I saw Sonny 10 shouts and Richarlison in a 4-4-2. And Odegaard makes logical sense now. It makes logical sense. And, you can always change things later in the game to mix things up and change a system and tactic. Ruben Amorim said that Spurs are a team who they play their way and they don't change, which is great if he thinks that, because I can show him evidence in the Europa League alone that we can change and we can play the way we want to. That's the thinking. So if he thinks that, grand, it's going to suit us massively, because we do change the way we play in the Europa. We're a much different team, and we will catch him if he thinks that. Put Solanke press on Bruno. Now, Bruno will be too far forward the other way. He'll be too far forward the other way. Solanke's going to be too far forward this way. Luka Vuskovic has been called up to the men's Croatian team. Well, congratulations to him. Could I see Porro play midfield? I could see Porro play midfield, but I wouldn't want him to. I think you've still got Odegaard that can give you an option in the midfield. I think with Manchester United struggling massively with crosses, having Porro come from deep to whip it across could be absolutely revolutionary for us. Also, when you think about our right back, quite frequently, Porro, when Romero's playing at least, will find pockets of space in midfield on his own. I'd rather him add to that midfield than like Jed Spence, for example. I think we're more dangerous than Porro against a team that struggles with crosses. You're much more dangerous than Porro back there to deliver crosses. I mean, they still could, and Spence could start a right back, but Just don't see it. I wouldn't want to risk Bergvall. No, I'm not starting Bergvall. I don't think Bergvall would start at all. What I'm saying is if he is good enough to give you 15, 20 minutes, then he's a player off the bench that you can use. Absolutely. I'm good, Aldente. How are you? Yeah, no, I don't agree. I don't think Porro should play in the midfield. Why weaken another position to find half solution what's happening? It's nonsense. Yeah, Aldente is a good point. You know, it's a really, really good point. And I've always said this with Porro, people go, play Porro right wing. Play Romero as a 6. They're great in their positions. Make sure that, you know, it's something I always learned at work when I was younger. You know, don't start 5 or 6 different jobs and complete 2 of them. Start and complete 4 jobs and leave the other 2 and come back to them another day when you can, right? Keep the guys who are great in their positions and look to solve the other ones when you can. You know, the irony is there would be no conversation if just one of the 3 were fairly fit. Like, you know, Kulu wasn't like, we didn't think Kulu might have been 100%. He'd be playing. So the way I look at it is just move Odebear in there. He wasn't going to be starting the game, Odebear, with Johnson obviously having success against Manchester United himself, but also what I've just said about so many times, things they struggle with, back post crosses, cutbacks, boom. Suits Jono right to the ground, doesn't it? So I think you're only going to be, with Kulu being out or Madison or Berval, whoever you would have thought as the 10, you're just really replacing with Wilson Odebear, keep the rest of the team. You know, think about the games that we play against Bodo Glimt. You know, Vic, Desi, Mickey, Kuti, Porro, Bentancur, Bissouma, right? Your back 7 is still set. You know, your front 3 was obviously Sonny. It was going to be, I think Son's going to start, but it was obviously Richie, Solanke, and Jono. Well, you got Solanke and Jono still there. So actually, you're only really changing about 2 players in that 11, you know? Where am I watching the game? I'm in the pub with friends and family. Morning, Liam. Question 1, 3 players with 200 million. We probably need to be moving off of players and bringing in probably 4 or 5. So give me 200 million. I'll get 5 players. Slade comes down to he is an option for the 10 potentially, but I look at Slanky more as a guy who drops in, who can overload a midfield. He's not a guy that starts the midfield. You know, keep the goal scorer in the striker position for me. Lucas playing depends on the situation. We go 2-0 up. I see a back 5 as well. Jazz. I mean, you say Sarr. Do we know if Sarr's 100% ready to go? Can he do that? You know. Question 2: if Ange goes, who would you get? Not going to be thinking about that just a second, Milton. Milton, if ask me Monday, keep that question for a week's time. I'll answer it then. If only Bergman could imagine get injured, yeah, absolutely. Can I do a vlog during the trophy parade? It's going to be on the Friday, isn't it? The trophy parade. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to go. It depends what the time is. What time would the parade start? Does anyone know? It will begin at Edmonton Green at 3 p.m. Oh, I might be able to make it. It would be close. So I'm just looking at a calendar over here. Why are they not doing it on Bank Holiday Monday? You know what I mean? Maybe. If I can go, I'll try and link up with some other Spurs YouTubers and things like that if they're going, and things like that. But yeah, no, if I can go, I will go. 100%. No, let me cancel pray for win. Fair enough. We'll sort of see. Yeah, we'll sort of see. If I can go, I will go. But most importantly, like Adiza said, you got to win the game. Don't worry about the parade just yet. Worry about the game. You know, Gadudu Wisdom Nico. What a name that is, guys. Let's first win before getting excited. He's right. He's right. Look, I'm looking forward to the final massively. I think Spurs will win. I don't think it's going to be comfortable. Like, the 3-0 win earlier on the season. It won't be like that, in my opinion. Even like the 4-3 when we were 3-0 up, I don't think it's going to be even that level of comfort. I think it'll be a bit like the 1-0 win, the third victory of the three, where Spurs score. And don't get me wrong, the 1-0 victory, obviously, I know the team wasn't, what you would expect it to be in terms of defensively, but the style of the game, they're going to create some chances. Vic's going to need to have a big game. Like, let's be real. Vic in Europa this season, especially the knockouts, has been really solid. The games in and around the Premier League, obviously, he's playing in front of behind a different back four, so maybe not as great. But I have faith in Vic. He's shown me many a times that you should have faith in him. We did the whole video on the main back four starting and how good they have been. And if you change just one game in the period they've played this season, change one game where two of them got injured in, the win percentage is crazy. So we'll sort of see on that one. Your gut says Spurs, your brain says Spurs. Well, Rec, you got to believe one of them. But yeah, we'll sort of see. Yeah, well, we'll be here to talk through it all, Dante. Don't worry, mate. We'll be here to talk it all. But look, let's sort of see. Let me know your scoreline predictions, your team that you're starting, all that stuff. All your predictions. Let me know all that down below. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Obviously, not long now to the final. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff. I'm not being an idiot. It is an 8 p.m. kickoff. Let me just get that right. Yeah, 8 p.m. kickoff. Give you some really wicked stats just to end the video with. The final will be a 6th all-English affair in a major European competition final. And the third of those to involve Tottenham Hotspur. At the 71-72, we won on aggregate versus Wolves. And obviously then the Champions League final in the 2018-19 season, we lost to Liverpool. The only previous meeting that these two teams have had in a major European competition came in the 63-64 Cup Winners' Cup last 16, with Man United winning 4-3 over 2 legs. Obviously, a lot of these competitions were done over 2 legs all those decades ago, so if that makes sense. Tottenham have won all 3 of their meetings with Manchester United in all competitions so far this season. Obviously, twice in the Prem, 1 in the Carabao Cup or the League Cup. The only opponent Spurs have ever won 4 games against in a single campaign was Manchester City in the 92-93 season. While the only side to beat Man United 4 times this season was Everton in the 85-86 season. Manchester United are winless in their last 6 meetings with Tottenham. They've drawn 2 and lost 4, and obviously losing their last 3 in a row. Obviously, the other loss was at the start of the last season in Ange's second game. Man United have never gone 7 without a win against Spurs before. Have also not lost 4 in a row against us. So there you go. Some wicked old stats for you. Some good, some bad. Depends on how you take it. Some good, some bad. 2-0 Spurs Richie double. Ooh, bloody hell. I like that. That's 3 done deal. My whole body screams Spurs will win. Ooh. Hopefully it doesn't scream too loud, Rec. Spurs have scored the most goals of any team in the UEFA or Europa Cup history. Well, Dente, you're bringing me some facts as well. I like it. I've got Google. I've got Al Dente. I've got them all. Why don't you collab with other Spurs shower? Is it because you don't want to? Is it because your schedule or something? I'm just curious. Jacob, it's a few things. Schedule can go into it. Also, normally when a lot of them are doing their videos, I'm already live anyway. But with collabing for me, I want to make sure that I'm collabing with the right people. And what I mean by that is if you go on a channel with someone who has a history of, verbally abusing players or other YouTubers or podcasters, I don't want to talk with them. I want to talk to reasonable, level-headed humans. It doesn't mean I have to agree with them, but reasonable, level-headed. Like if you're a shouty podcast or you're a shouty YouTuber, not interested. You're not going to have a discussion with them. It's just going to be, I'm going to start making a point. The other person's going to shout at me because I don't agree with their points. And therefore, they think they have to shout because I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I'm personally not interested in that sort of thing. I did a small collab with Jim from Oso Spurs. Good dude, level-headed. You feel like you could have a discussion with someone like Jim, even if you disagree. With others, I don't think you get that. And that's why you have to pick and choose and be smart about it. 2-0, Spurs, Johnson, Solanke to score. I like it. Burford, the super chat, goes full on Spurs. 56 hours and 30 minutes away from glory. Oh, Jim, I love it. Look at all of you coming in here and bringing me stats. Like you're doing my job for me. Jim, appreciate the super chat, mate. I don't have a glass to toast you with. I normally have a drink to toast you with, so pretend that I'm toasting you, Burf. You absolute legend, mate. And the only time they got close to beating us was when Fraser gave them 2 goals. Yeah, Fraser basically just tapped the ball in himself, and it was 3-2. Then we scored from a corner. By the way, that goal that they conceded from a corner, I think, was the second time they conceded, I can't remember exactly. They conceded against Wolves. Cunha scored from a corner against them. So it's twice this season. I think one was an honor and one was by India. So there's 2 of them. So there you go. If Spurs win, will it erase toxicity among the fans, and for how long? I don't think it would. I think it would do less than you think in a sad state of affairs. But yeah, this summer we'll have a new. Yeah, we'll worry about the summer when we get there. If we win the Europa League, Arsenal fans can never talk to us again. Won't be easy to 4 times. No, Nico, I agree. Yeah, some good channels. Good channels. No, good people. There are some good people out there, but again, it's sometimes schedules don't line up. I think I only jumped on a live with Jim once because I was chatting to him previous, and we had lost a game, and I knew it was going to be toxic and horrific. And I remember messaging him saying, "Oh, good luck with your live." He's like, "Well, I'm live now. Come jump on." I just randomly jumped on straight after a live. So, yeah, it's you got to make sure you do it with the right people. There is going to be a collab, I believe, coming up after the season. There's going to be a collab that I'm going to do with Jim and a couple other YouTubers. Alan from Tottenham Logic, I think, is going to be one of them as well, where we're going to review the season. Player of the season, young player of the season, goal of the season, that kind of vibe. So we're going to do a little bit of something together, which I think will be good. I think it'll be a nice one to chat about Spurs in a nice, calm manner with the people. We're not going to agree with everything as well, which is going to be the great thing of that. So that'll be coming out, I expect, the next couple of weeks, sort of thing. But we've got to get to the end of the season first. We've still got 2 games left of the season this week alone. Obviously, got Wednesday night against Manchester United, got Sunday afternoon with Brighton. So that will be that. Look, thank you so much for joining me this morning, though. I've got to go and do other stuff. It's a nice day outside. I want to make sure I get out at some point. Fan calling. Yeah, we might do something on this channel, Jazz, through Discord. We might do a little Discord thing where people can jump on, or a little Q&A. They can ask me questions themselves and so on and so forth. But yeah, if you do want to join the Discord, you're more than welcome to. More than welcome to. Come and join the Discord. You're more than welcome to. Milton, start a channel. Why not? What's stopping you? You don't have the patience? You're just talking to the camera, mate. That's all it is. Why not? That's all I'm doing. And if you, as long as you're not a bad person when it comes to your YouTube, no doubt many people get you on their channel, and many people will shout you out to make sure people go and watch your stuff, mate. So don't worry about it. If you want to do it, why don't you do it? What's stopping you? If you've got half an hour a day, do it. Same with people that go, I haven't got time to work out or do fitness. You got half an hour a day? Yeah. Okay, you can do fitness in that time, easy. You could go out for a run. Oh, I don't really like running. You go out for a walk. That's still fitness and exercise. Why not? What's stopping you? But look, thank you so much for joining me this morning, everyone. You more absolute bloody legends. We'll be back tomorrow to talk, obviously, a little bit more about Spurs. Obviously, I think we'll probably have a press conference with Ange in the next couple of days that we'll be talking about. And then, obviously, Wednesday will be last-minute thoughts ahead of Manchester United in the Europa League final. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It's the anxiety now of the next 2.5 days. What a world we live in. Go and enjoy the rest of your days, everyone. And I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Take care. Peace.